Hey guys, Adam aka ACS Radical here, and this is my review for Call of Duty Ghosts. Now, let's get this out of the way really quick, and you can probably hear the anger in my voice as it is. I came into this game expecting a lot because this game looked like it was going to be a little bit of a revolutionary game, like it is for the next generation consoles, because just like how Modern Warfare was revolutionary, from all the changes they looked like they were making to having a legitimate director doing, or legitimate producer writing this campaign, and then just the idea that it's on the next gen console, it's going to look amazing and it's going to play amazing. This is a game that, quite honestly, is probably one of the most disappointing games in a while, at least in terms of the mainstream market. And if you're any bit of a Call of Duty fan, unless you are the kind of guy that needs to play the new game, and if you're into clans and wanting to get into the competition stuff, just stay with Black Ops 2 because you're wasting $60 right now on this game on a right now currently piece of crap that maybe within a couple of patches, if they fix a few things, might be a little better. But quite frankly, in terms of the content that it has and the way that things are running right now, it is an absolute piece of garbage. Now anyway, let's start ripping this thing apart, shall we? We'll start off with the campaign, which was, likely people nowadays call it essentially the most unplayed mode in all of gaming, which is kind of a joke in itself when you think about it. I love the campaign mode because I love story. I'm a very story-centric guy, and I also like playing the campaign because it gives me a few hours of getting used to the way the controls are running in the game, get used to some of the weapons, how they recoil, how they shoot, what works good for me, and just figure out what's going to work when I go into multiplayer. The problem with this one is that even though they got somebody, I can't remember what's the guy's name, I can't remember for the life of me, but they got a legitimate person from Hollywood writing this thing, and it's still a piece of shit of a story. I mean, there are good set pieces. I mean, with all the times that you spend fighting either underwater or in outer space, you would think that, honestly, it would be an amazing storyline with all these great action pieces, and there are some good set pieces, don't get me wrong, but given the fact that the actual story itself means jack shit to you, you will not have any connection to anybody. With at least Modern Warfare, most, if not anyone who played the single-player campaign had some attachment to any of the characters, whether it was Captain Price, Soap, Yuri, friggin' even Ghost. For all, you had people you could get into. You had a story that was actually engaging. And especially with games like Black Ops and Black Ops 2, which was revolutionary in storytelling because you were actually decisions that changed the outcome of the game. In this, the story means nothing. At no point in this game, even for the fucking dog, did I actually give a shit about what happened to anybody. And the most insulting thing is that they made such a big deal about women being in this game. The only female that I ever noticed dies at the begin, or that's just near the end, I should say, of the first mission. I guess they really care about women in the gaming, don't they? It clearly shows, doesn't it? But other than that, quite frankly, the game's story is dull. It's boring as hell. You will not care about anybody who dies over the course of the game. And even the hero you don't want to kill, the hero really has nothing that makes you hate him all that much. I mean, yeah, all he does is he attacks you. Oh my god! At least with guys like frickin' Makarov, and at least these guys you wanted to beat the shit out of. I mean, even, I can't think of what his name was from Black Ops 2, but you even wanted to like that guy by halfway through the game. But in this one, the main enemy, Rourke, you literally are just like, whatever, can we just kill this guy so I can move on to something else? You literally do not care. The campaign is just a joke. An absolute joke, and there are some really annoying moments in it too. Also, I gotta say, I thought space fighting would be a little bit better, but it's really clunky to control too, because you will constantly just drift out of cover and you will die so quickly. I imagine playing this in Veteran, which I refuse to do now that I've played it in Regular. Playing this in Veteran will probably be the most frustrating thing possible because it's so hard to stay in cover and be able to still get a couple of shots in. But anyway, why don't we move on to the multiplayer? There, again, on paper, looks like there's a lot of good things going for it. There's so much customization offered to it. You can customize so many parts of your soldier, whether it's their gender, whether it's what helmet they wear, what part of body armor in terms of vests and stuff do they wear. What kind of uniform or color, in a sense, do they wear? There's so many things you can customize, including, their loadouts, and you can buy whatever weapons you want, or buy whatever perks you want after you've accumulated a few squad points from levels and operations and stuff. But again, it just doesn't work when the actual multiplayer just is worse than what it's been in the past. I had better experiences playing friggin' Modern Warfare 2 than this. Quite honestly, I think this game has gotten even more host-friendly and connection-dependent than ever before. Most of the games that I've played, actually, I've never finished either because the second the host leaves, the game shuts down. Usually, there's just a host migration. Now, it just straight up shuts down. And even more than ever now, I find that lag is a huge issue. There are constantly times where you put 10 shots on the guy, nothing registers, you die around a corner, you die behind walls, and the spawns again. How are we at this point now, after so many games, can we not figure out spawning? How many times, and it works in my advantage as well, but how many times do I have to spawn and kill somebody within 2 seconds, or just all of a sudden die because the guy spawns right behind me? That needs to stop. I don't care about this whole, oh, we're trying to keep you always in the action. Well, it's not exactly action if by the time I get a chance to think again, I'm still dead. It doesn't work. And even more than ever, too, the maps are terrible. Some of the maps are just horribly laid out. There are way too many ways to get caught from behind. And especially with a map, I think it's Castle, where you're out in this massive open field. It's a sniper's dream. Most of the map, you're going to be spent trying to get away from sniper fire because there's just way too much of an open space on the map. At least with a map like Carrier in Black Ops 2, there was at least enough cover to go between. In Castle, I don't think there is. I think it's way too easy to get caught, you know, especially by snipers. I mean, still, even normally with SMGs and rifles, it's still difficult to go around because it's so easy to be seen from so many other angles, and because your field of view in this game is so terrible, it's hard to see what's to your in your peripheral vision. You can't figure it out, and it's way too easy to die. So you're gonna get killed so many times on maps like that. It just doesn't help. And I think even the perks this time around, they're just, or not the perks, sorry, the strike packages. I don't find any of them to be very useful. I think more often than not, if I still decide to play it, I'm going to be going specialist because, quite frankly, at least the perks that start are useless. I don't find a use for them. What happened to UAV? I mean, SATCOMs are replacing them now, but I don't think they're nearly as useful as UAV. UAV was a huge perk, or a huge, I keep saying perk, a huge kill streak. And now all of a sudden they've taken that away. Most of the kill streaks I find, I'm looking at thinking, why would I want that? Or especially in the case of most of them, like, I'm not going to get that many kills because I don't play a very aggressive style. Like, why would I do that? So, I don't know. I think they've done a very bad job of making this playable for people, and especially if you're the kind of person that tries to play with a little bit of tactical prowess, you're going to fail, because this game seems like, at least at this moment in time, it is rewarding the people who do one of two things. They either camp to no end, or they're completely rushing around, you know, unrealistically, with either a shotgun or an SMG, just going around, running around at full speed and everything. And because lag can be such a terrible weapon for people, it can be such a disadvantage that even if, by logic, rushing around like a moron is not going to work, it will work, because if you get the first couple of shots off, well, the connection will just, you know, tip in your favor, and there you go. You got kills on the fly. So, at this point in time, the fact that I'm enjoying multiple-year-old games in the Call of Duty franchise more than this is a very, very disconcerting fact. And I think people need to watch out for that. Now, it's not to say there aren't interesting things going on with the multiplayer. Some of the new modes are pretty interesting. Hunted, I like the idea of. You know, the idea that it's kind of like Drop Zone, but instead of trying to protect this area like a King of the Hill thing, you start off with a pistol instead, and you have to go for this care package to actually get some decent weapons. I think that's a pretty interesting idea. And the fact that they've changed up Search and Destroy into Search and Rescue, where now, while you're protecting this objective, you can also keep your people alive after they die by collecting their tags beforehand, it gives a whole nother idea of how you can play it. But then there's a game mode like Cracked, where, at least in my opinion, I think this is a game mode that does not suit me and will not suit a lot of people, because Cracked is a game that will force you to play very aggressively. And if you're a kind of player like me who tries to play with a little bit more of a strategic mind to it, that tries to play with a little more careful, carefulness to it. Trying to get around the map, trying to flank properly. You can't do that because you only have so much time before that 30-second timer runs out and you explode. So it's kind of forcing you to play a style that you don't like to, at least in my case, and it's a little frustrating. Now, one of the other additions that they made to it in terms of the multiplayer aspect is the Call of Duty app. This is where I have a huge problem with it. Now take a look at this screen. You see all these things that are blank? I can't fill those in because I don't have a mobile device that works it. I fucking have a tablet that runs Google Play, and I have an Android phone, but guess what? Those two things aren't compatible with it. If you're not going to make it compatible with everything, at least have it available on the website. Like, think of what Rockstar does with Social Club. How fucking stupid is it that a fucking integral part of clans is only available on a mobile device? What fucking stupid, idiotic idea is that to make something unavailable for everybody? For something like that is so useful for people, it's a great thing to get, groups of people together. And if you don't have a certain device that you don't have, that some of us like me don't want to pay a fucking fortune for, then I can't use it. So what the hell's the point? Fuck your app. If you're gonna make shit like that, make it available for everybody. Don't single people out. That's not fair for everybody. Now we'll move on to squads, which again is another idea that on paper looks interesting. The idea of setting up a squad of your own personal AI, set up the game modes you want, set up the map you want. You can set up all these little ideas and make it so that it's almost like your own personal war with one other player, how anybody can challenge your guy at any time and have your group of AI specially modified opponents. It's good. But again, it comes to a couple problems. You can't customize all of them because you need squad points to unlock certain ones and be able to get into them and customize them. And then it also gets to the point that I look at this mode, honestly, and I don't think a lot of people are going to use it just because if they want to play something that's multiplayer-esque, they'll just play the multiplayer faction and not go to squads. It doesn't seem to make any sense. I think this is a mode that will be left alone by a lot of people, just like how the campaign is. Because, quite frankly, I think if people do want to play multiplayer, they'll just fucking play multiplayer. I don't think squads is a mode that really offers enough to warrant people wanting to jump over to it. Now, last but not least, we'll have Extinction, which is essentially Infinity Ward's their own take on zombies. And I think this has actual staying power. I think it's a little interesting because it's like zombies, but there's an actual mission to be completed to it. You actually have an objective to go for other than to just survive. And the fact that there are things littered around the ground that you can actually go, like you can buy, weapons on the fly. And, it definitely feels more like than just a drawing on the wall that you have to look for. You actually have to be a little bit more resourceful. And there are sometimes propane tanks lying on the ground that you can go after. And again, it's definitely a mode that can really put some teamwork together. The one thing that I just got to say about it, and it's not really degrading the mode, like I've actually had a little bit of fun playing that mode. I'm quite surprised by it. But when I look at it, and then I look at the company that's making it, it doesn't fit in my head. It feels very strange and very out of place in an Infinity War game. It seems like Treyarch should be looking at this and thinking, okay, this is how we can make zombies even better. Because I look at Extinction and I say, I don't feel like this belongs in this game. Call of Duty Ghosts is such a manly, military, realistic simulator. And this really doesn't fit with that. I think this is the kind of thing that I would actually almost think would make sense as a standalone thing. Either that or if Infinity Ward just takes, or not Infinity Ward, if Treyarch takes the concepts of this along and moves that into zombies, I think that would be more interesting. Because I just don't think Extinction fits in an Infinity War Call of Duty game right now because it's different and new and unique. That's why it doesn't fit in Infinity War. That's kind of sad to say. Now, before I give my final verdict, now that I've gone through everything that I need to go through and you screamed about everything I did, I played the console version. And what I found very interesting is that the PC version has its own ridiculous bits to it. And I don't usually do this, but because I got really insightful information from this, I'm going to use this person's video and credit them properly, of course, so please don't get mad at me for this. One of my favorite YouTubers, TotalBiscuit, did a WTF Is video on the multiplayer. He did one for Extinction 2, which you should also check out, but here's a few highlights from what he said about the PC port of Call of Duty Ghosts.
And I want to focus on the PC port. And rightfully so, because it's bloody abysmal. Good lord. It is dreadful. You seeing this stuttering in the background? You might be thinking, oh, that's probably YouTube just being strange. No, it does that. All the time in the menus, for no apparent reason. Even worse, when you go into online play and go to your loadout screen, it just freezes at random, for no apparent reason. I cannot explain it. Oh, God, I mean, it's going to be difficult even to show you the options menu, because the game apparently can't even handle that. What is, of course, conspicuous by its absence in... Come on. All of these bloody options menus is a lack of a field of view slider. There isn't one, because Infinity Ward hates PC gamers. Audio options only have a single slider because, you know, it's ridiculously obvious that you should only have one slider. You know, having 4 is just absurd. Why on earth would you want to turn the music down or turn the voice level down? Our optimal balance is the only balance. You shall not mess with our piece of art. Our artistic vision will not be compromised because we are Infinity Ward, in name alone. Alright, so... this looks a little bit similar to the last 7 Call of Duty games, doesn't it? And as it should. If this is the next-gen Call of Duty, they have monumentally failed to impress. And I also noticed a lot of micro-stutter with SLI, so I turned that off to see if that made the performance better. Got rid of the micro-stutter, some of the worst I've ever seen. Really bad. But it didn't get rid of the frame rate issues. And I'm like, guys, I'm on a friggin' Titan. Your game is not good enough to justify that level of performance. It isn't. It looks like the last few Call of Duties. It really, really does. This is hideous. I'm sorry, it is. Even through YouTube artifacting, you should be able to tell just how hideous these textures are. What exactly is the 50 gigabyte install for? I really have to ask. I'm genuinely curious to know where that space went, because it wasn't on uncompressed textures. I can tell you that for a fact. What else is there to even say? Terrible PC port. Ooh, hello. Very, very similar to the last one. Ultimately a waste of your time. I mean, need I say more? Need I say more?
Alright, so let's just get this out of the way. Call of Duty Ghosts, on paper, looked like a great idea. Looked tremendous, like it was going to be the next big thing, how it was going to revolutionize Call of Duty once again, just like Modern Warfare did. And instead, what we got was a big, steaming pile of shit. It is a terrible waste of your time. The campaign is a 4 to 6 hour waste of your time. It doesn't offer anything that's engaging. The multiplayer, while it has some customizable options, it doesn't perform as well as other games have. If you are not planning on playing this like with clans, then you might as well stick with Black Ops 2 because the experience is a lot better. And if you don't even have a copy of Black Ops 2 now, it's cheaper, and it's going to be a much better experience than paying $60 and wasting it on this piece of crap is. I'm glad that I didn't pay a cent for this game because I got it through trade-ins at EB. Honestly, that's why I'm not screaming. I'm really pissed off, but the fact that I didn't pay money for this game is probably the only thing that's keeping me from just snapping. Even though you probably might think I did. But, quite frankly, this game, while it offers a few things like Extinction, offers something quite interesting in squads, but I think is not going to be used, and just quite frankly oozes so much copy and pasting that even more than Modern Warfare 2 and 3 do I sit here and look at this game and say, you guys didn't even put any real work into this, and you spent millions upon millions of dollars to make this. This is the point where I think it's going to start being where we sit back and kind of think, okay, are we going to start seeing a real downfall for the Call of Duty series? Because this is the point now where people are going to start looking at these games and just not wanting to buy them because, quite frankly, they know they're going to get the exact same thing. And if they're enjoying the current experience they have on the game that they have right now, like, I'm going to go back to Black Ops 2 probably because I can't enjoy this right now. I'm being forced to play one specific style, very stealthy, to keep myself off the radar, just to have a fighting chance in multiplayer because it rewards people who don't play like fucking intelligent people. So, with that being said, and you can take my opinion as you will, you might sit there and think, oh, he's just mad because he's not doing so well. I'm still having most of my games, I'm still above a 1.0 KDR, I'm still doing well, but the problem is the way I'm dying every time, it doesn't work. It doesn't make sense, usually because of the spawns, but also because of lag, compensation, of just terrible aim. The recoil in this game can kill you, and like I said, this game is so host dependent and so friendly to people who are hosting it. It's ridiculous, and it needs to be fixed. I don't understand why we can't get to the point now, after so many of these games, that we still can't have decent servers that don't depend on someone's connection and giving them that advantage that they can just wreck with. But anyways, let's get this with the final score. Quite frankly, if I give anything more than a 7 for Call of Duty Ghosts, I'd be totally lying. This game, quite frankly, I will say, because it has a little bit to offer, even though I haven't really touched it and have really no desire to anymore, it's a 6. It's a 6 out of 10 at best. This is a game that just cannot hold up to all of the last 3 or 4 years of Call of Duty. I haven't been this annoyed by a Call of Duty game since World at War. So that tells you just how much the last 5 years have really meant to me in terms of Call of Duty gameplay. This game is just an absolute piece of garbage. And unless you are just absolutely hell-bent on buying it, or if you already have, which I'm sorry to... I feel your pain, just don't buy it. Or if you will, at least do what I did and just get it for cheaper by going in trade-ins or whatever other route you can, or even just borrowing it off a friend, because quite frankly, it's $60 that's going to go right down the drain, because you're going to be absolutely frustrated by this game. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching the video. If you like it, please like it or subscribe to the channel. If you have some comments, don't hesitate to message it. I will fight with you if I have to. I'm used to it. Whatever. Especially with Call of Duty fans, they're very, very angry. It was like me with Grand Theft Auto fans when I was getting all about Grand Theft Auto Online when it was first launching. Oh man, the times that I had. So I'm expecting a little bit of backlash for what I've just said. Either way, don't give a shit. Come at me. We'll have a reasonable conversation, even though I know for the most part, most of you people that will be on the Call of Duty side will not be having a very, very nice conversation. Either way, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you later.